Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Wednesday. It's Pro Wrestling Weekly. Glad you can join us. Good to be back on your screens as well after a little sabbatical, as they say. But yeah, great to have you back and all that kind of good stuff. Really looking forward to the show. As always, back in the hot seat again. Russ has returned. Big up, Russ. Thanks for joining us.
Hiya, pal. How we doing?
I'm doing really good. I was over in London at the weekend. I was at ACDC. And
Oh, lovely.
It was amazing. Sunday night, it was just amazing. It's just to see those guys at that age rock out and, they were set for nearly 2.5 hours, not a bother to them. Seasoned veterans, as they say. And boy,
100%
they
ACDC.
tore the place down. So it was brilliant. So great weekend, sharing it with my son and all. It was his belated 21st birthday present. So we had a great time in London, went to the show and all, came home Monday. I was absolutely powerlaxed. I haven't been to a gig in a while and I haven't danced that much in a good few years, in fairness. So still feeling the pain of that. But listen, Pro Wrestling Weekly, not feeling anywhere near the pain that some of these guys and gals put themselves through at the weekend. So we will be reviewing Money in the Bank, giving our thoughts on that. We will be talking a little bit about NXT Heatwave. We have got new tag team champions on SmackDown.
Yes, we do.
Which I'm very happy about. Big DIY fan. We're going to be talking about John Cena. We're going to be talking about Judgment Day. We're going to be talking about Behind the Curtain, getting kind of mixed reviews. I have to say I really enjoyed it, but a lot of people are saying they're not overly happy with the way it was a bit contrived. Yeah, so we'll get into it anyway. Let's start. But before we start, I want to tell you about this little event that's coming up in August. The guys are getting together. Banger Mania 2 is going to be coming to you in Fibber McGee's on Friday, August the 9th. And it's going to be a night of classic WWE matches on the screen, WWF matches on the screen. They're going to be playing, the DJs are going to be playing all your favorite entrance music and theme songs. They're going to have a Royal Rumble computer quiz or Royal Rumble computer competition where there's prizes, all that. So a full night of wrestling. Banger Mania 2. Tickets available on eventbrite.ie if you fancy going. Make sure you're supporting. These are local guys, the guys who have brought you in the past Hell and Poison and all these kinds of stuff. So get out there and support Gar and his crew and have a fabulous night. Friday, August the 9th, Banger Mania 2. Check it out. Right, Russ, where are we going to begin? Money in the Bank?
Yeah, Money in the Bank.
Not?
Let's
start.
Let's start with this abhorrent pay-per-view.
It has been defined as the worst pay-per-view of the year. Now, I don't know whether that's necessarily a bad thing, because they've been knocking it out of the park since the start of the year. Even back as far as Survivor Series and stuff, that they've been knocking it out of the park. So eventually they were going to drop one where something was going to happen. And if there was ever going to be jeopardy and a problem in a pay-per-view, it was always going to be Money in the Bank, wasn't it?
No, I disagree. This had the potential to probably be one of the greatest pay-per-views because of the stars that we had on the card. And they bottled it. The best part about the entire night was Tiffany Stratton winning the becoming Miss Money in the Bank. That was the only good part. I loved it up until the Damian Priest match. Then I was like, okay, I guess I'll continue watching. And then the Women's Money in the Bank, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can get behind Tiffany Stratton. Aside from that, just boring matches. Just didn't really enjoy my time on it. It just,
yeah. Sean, go ahead.
Worst show that he's done this year. The booking was abhorrent, and it just didn't make sense.
I don't know. I think looking at the event, and I spoke about it last week on the preview, there wasn't anything in it really, with the exception of the kind of the end of the preset match and the cash in. Everything else kind of was going to happen anyway, wasn't it? I mean, we kind of felt that it was Tiffy's time, really, and it was Tiffany Stratton's time. And we felt that was going to happen, and if it wasn't her, it was going to be probably Lyra. And it kind of panned out that way, really. And it was a fantastic match, easily the show stealer, which isn't surprising for the women either.
No,
they normally do a real good job on these matches. But I do think I do think where I give them a slight pass on this one is because there's a lot going on in a Money in the Bank match, and there's a lot that can go wrong.
Oh
There's
yeah,
there's 4 or 5 matches nearly going on within this one match, and it only takes a ladder out of place or a bump to go sideways, and it kilters across everything then and stuff like that.
oh
I
yeah,
think
agreed.
Drew being entered into the Money in the Bank, I think straight away that set the narrative, and the fact that it was the first match on the card easily sent us along that there was going to be a cash in, and he basically said it anyway.
Yeah,
So
and we'll get into that a little bit later. But
yeah,
yeah, just
so
continue what you're saying.
So on top of that, I don't think as much as I wanted with Braun Breaker, I don't think they were going to whip the belt off Sammy in Toronto. I just don't see it happen. We weren't going to get a Toronto screw job, so we could wash away the Montreal screw job. That was never going to happen. Although I would have been very happy for Braun Breaker to leave as champion. But I think he still came out of it strong. He didn't come out of it looking weak, and that was my fear. So I think it was okay. Drew obviously winning the Money in the Bank. The Bloodline versus Cody and Randy and Kevin Owens. Probably a difficult one as well. Kevin Owens' mum isn't too well and stuff like that and all. And it looks like he's going to have to take some time out in relation to that situation. And it was obviously not quite the homecoming he would kind of want back into Canada, but maybe the one that he got, and that was it. So, like you're saying on Raw, how he probably needs a bit of time away and stuff like that. So, obviously, we wish him and his mother and all speedy recovery and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, 100%. We love Kevin Owens.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was obviously going to be a tough one, and I think this was always going to play out this way with the Bloodline kind of on a roll at the moment with the way they took out Heyman and everything. I don't think you could have them losing, because if they lost, it would stagger. They're on a little bit of a roll with Solo at the moment, I have to say. And we spoke about this about 2-3 weeks ago when you were on, or 2 weeks ago when you were on. I said there's little things they're doing with Solo now that are beginning to build into nice little blocks of stuff
agreed.
there.
Agreed. It's just I still don't see him as a credible leader. I just can't.
No, and I think that's where the storyline will go, and I think that's why they're doing it that way. I think they're purposely doing it that way, that he's getting a little bit of credibility, but not enough to push us over the line. And then I think if you go to the men's match and stuff like that, I think Seth and Priest, again, I think it was a little bit clunky. It was a little bit kind of out of kilter. It didn't quite mesh or knit. I don't know what it was about it. I don't know whether was a Priest was a little bit anxious going into the match, whether it was Seth kind of only coming back. Maybe there was a little bit of rust there or something like that. I'm not too sure. They didn't kind of gel. And then I think because they didn't gel and a couple of moves in the match or something didn't quite do what they should have done, I think then it all kind of filtered and funneled down into this finish that just, is the thing that people just walk away with, and they forget about a lot of the other stuff and things like that. So I think overall, I personally, I think it was probably their worst PLE of the year. I think that's without question. But I just think there's a certain amount of jeopardy with this pay-per-view every year, because it's Money in the Bank, because so much can go wrong, and often enough does. I give them a pass on it. I think they'll bounce back very strong.
I don't think, like, certain booking decisions, I do not think they'll be able to bounce back on. But my number one problem of the night was Drew McIntyre being Mr. Money in the Bank. They had the perfect formula for Money in the Bank. It's always a case of, these are the people we want to elevate. We'll put them in this match and we'll elevate, the winner. And now we've got people like LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, Jey Uso. Right, 3 people who I watched NXT, and I just love Jey Uso. Jey Uso should be world champion by the end of this year, I believe. Either by the end of this year or next year. They had so many big names in the Money in the Bank. Drew winning gave me hope, where it was like, okay, pardon me, Drew's won. He's done everything now, right? Grand Slam, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, beautiful. And then he cashed in on the same night to further a story that does not need furthering. They wasted an entire concept to progress a story that still does not need progressing. because it's got so much heat attached to it already. Basically, what they've done is just gone, hey, right, all these superstars, we're just going to, fuck them off. And then we're just going to progress the story. It didn't need to happen. And it didn't need to happen because we don't need this Drew. Feel bad for Drew because he's been screwed over so many times. We've done this story twice. The Bloodline and now CM Punk. It feels like we're getting a Bloodline, like, the story. Jesus Christ, I need to let that speak. The Bloodline story that we had with Drew, we're now getting with Punk. It's recycled, completely recycled, and I could get behind it at Clash. I could get behind it whenever he's messed him over, but Money in the Bank was the cutoff point for me. I turned it off straight after. The only reason why I turned it back on was because I wanted to see who Miss Money in the Bank was. I couldn't bear to watch it. It annoyed me so much that they could have had Jey Uso become Mr. Money in the Bank. But no, they had to do it on Drew, and they had to waste it. It was so annoying.
I think the problem when it comes to Jey is Jay's usually over at the moment as well, usually talented and more than capable. But I think with the potential imminent return of Roman Reigns, and if we're going to get a Bloodline 1 or Bloodline Original versus Bloodline 2 or whatever it is, whatever way they do it, I don't think the belt on him fits. So I don't really think it'll fit going into this storyline, because I think once Roman comes back, I think if you're going to get Bloodline versus Bloodline or whatever way that pans out, I think you're going to get long storytelling on that. I think that's going to run for a while, and it's also going to take up quite a section of the show.
Oh, 100%.
And I think from that point of view, I mean, if you're going to bring Roman back in, you're obviously going to get Jimmy and Jay back together as the Usos in there with Roman. I think that's what probably has to happen. And from that point of view, him either carrying around the case or carrying around the title doesn't really fit in there, if you like, in that kind of situation. And I think maybe that's why they didn't pull the trigger. It's not because they don't believe in him. It's not because of his capability. It's not because of any of that. I think what's really happening at the moment is, what's happening now is the Punk Drew thing is going tit for tat. So each week we're having to change our mind on who's the victim in this and who's the heel and who's playing it out and what way do we go with this and all that. And I think what's happening now is, because it's spilling over now and kind of nearly, dare I say, nearly messing other matches up.
Yeah,
and taken away from other matches. I think they probably have to pull the trigger now with it on SummerSlam, and I think they have to just they need to get it done, if you like. I think what's happened is it's become the annoyance now that we kind of expect a little bit. Now I like what they're doing somewhat, but I don't want it to take away. I mean, you have Priest there, who's the champion. You've Seth, who's come back, great match. And I think what's happening now with Drew and Punk is it's spilling over into other areas of the show and affecting that as well.
100% agreed.
And that might be where the problem is. And I have the same feeling as well about the Wyatt Six as well. And we'll talk about that later as well.
Yeah.
It's just, when I see Jay and Chad wrestling, I like that match. That's a real good match. That's a proper PLE match.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
And the problem is, then you get the horror show coming out again, and then it's, you know what I mean? Then it's back to potentially nearly insulting us as fans. That's how I just feel about it. I just, again, we're 4 weeks into this being, or we're 3 or 4 weeks into this being on screen now, with a 6 or an 8 week build up, with VHS cassettes being delivered to Michael Cole and various people or whatever it is, and people getting destroyed backstage and all this kind of thing. And I'm 6 to 8 weeks down the line on this, and I still don't know where I stand on it. And that's kind of weird for me. Now, this week is different. They revealed people, but it's just, this is beyond slow burn at this stage. And I'm okay with long storytelling. I'm okay with slow burn to build and all that. But I just don't know what this is building to, and I don't know whether anyone does. So for that, it's very hard for me to get emotionally invested in it. But what I do know at the moment is, where I've been used to a wrestling show like Raw or SmackDown, and you get your 2 or 3 hours of wrestling. It's a solid wrestling show with defined storylines that you can follow leading into a premium live event, and you can get emotionally attracted into that. Now I'm getting kind of here's an interruption, and here's an interruption, and here's an interruption. And, you know, they need to be careful as well, because the one thing that we always complained about on AEW is there's too many fucking run-ins, there's too many interference, there's too much of this. Every match ends with an interference or a run-in or a chair shot out of nowhere or whatever the hell it is. And before you know it, then you can't focus on what you're really enjoying, because you're just waiting for things to happen. So you're not in the moment of each section of the match. You're kind of waiting for the end. Like it's like when we were watching the match the other night. You're waiting for the cash in to happen, because we know it's coming, because it was given away. You're just waiting for that. So you don't focus on anything good they might have been doing. And that's my overall thoughts on Eric's in as well here. Big up Eric. Hello, Noel. Interesting weekend. Money in the Bank had good wrestling, although very poor booking. Good shout, same as what Russ thinks. Spot on. While Heatwave was honestly one of the best wrestling shows I've ever seen. HBK greater than Triple H for sure. There you go. Yeah, Heatwave was phenomenal. We'll get on and we will talk.
Yeah, Heatwave was fantastic. Do I believe that NXT are on a big high right now? Yes, but that is solely also part to the TNA crossover. I think if TNA didn't cross over with NXT, it wouldn't be as big as it is right now. Because I can't lie, I was invested in watching NXT tonight. Oh, sorry, not tonight. Last night. Right, because of the fallout of Heatwave, Ethan Page, the new NXT champion. I'm not a big Ethan Page fan, I can't lie, but it was like, wait a minute, he won? It was a shock value, and then obviously we got the return of Joe Hendry. It's one of those things where if Joe Hendry wasn't teased, I wouldn't have watched it. If Joe Hendry wasn't there, I would have been annoyed. Because with NXT right now, especially with the crossover with TNA, the reason why it's so good is because it's giving the people who watch not just WWE, but who also watch TNA or watch Impact or whatever, it's giving them a chance to also be like, oh yeah, this is what the TNA can do with NXT. Imagine what NXT can do with TNA. And they've already teased a lot of crossovers like Moose and Obafemi. And I look forward to it. I genuinely do look forward to it. But to me, that right now is one of the key selling points of NXT. We are collaborating with TNA. The forbidden door is being blown wide open. They're doing something fantastic that the main roster can't do. And that's generate something. And just going back to something about earlier, talking about the Drew Punk rivalry. I feel like that is making the World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest, is making him look like a weak champion. Because all of his matches that he has had since winning that belt has had interference. He's had 3 defenses: Judgment Day, Punk. He has not successfully defended the belt on his own. He looks like a weak champion, and I get why some people can't get behind him, but to me it makes him look weak. It's the same reason why I hated Roman. Every single one of the matches was interference, and it made him look weak.
Yeah, but with Priest, I think it's purposely doing it because it's building towards the storyline that's developing within the Judgment Day. So I think they're purposely making him look weak. And that's why he has this internal struggle inside him, saying to JD and to Balor and all, I don't want you guys out there tonight. I don't want people interfering. And then he gets interference from somewhere else. And he's pulling Balor off, guys, and all, leave it. I don't want you doing this and all. So he has kind of this internal struggle inside him with the Judgment Day that's not sitting right with him. And because of that, I think they're building that very cleverly in the way that there's constant interference, which is absolutely just blowing his mind and stuff like that. So I think they're very clever in the way they're doing it. And I think a lot of what you're seeing is purposely being put in there, leading to what, and we're going to talk about the Judgment Day in a bit and what we're kind of liking and not liking and where it's going to go and stuff like that. So it'll be a good conversation a little bit from now. Stephen's in. Today is a day I give up on Irish football. We hired an Icelandic dentist today as our national coach. What more can I say? There we go. Big up, Henry. Yeah, thanks for jumping in. Good to see you. We'll have to get together soon for a podcast. Ian's in. What's the crack? Bloodline 2.0. There you go. It's coming. Big up, Henry. How are you today? Stephen, Braun Breaker reminds me a lot of Goldberg. He does, but
It's kind of privilege.
but in a better way. I give the pay per view a 4 out of 10. That's harsh for me. That's harsh. I think you have to.
I'd say 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd give it more than that now. You know, I can't. I didn't see a whole lot wrong in a lot of the matches. Really, if you didn't like who the winners were, it was contrived for a certain reason. And listen, I'm a huge Braun Breaker fan, so I could easily pump on this if I wanted. But I think it was better than that. I don't think it was as good as what came before it, but I don't think it's as bad as people make out. I think people are hanging on to maybe their picks didn't win, and that match didn't turn out the way it should have, and the referee thing and all that kind of stuff. And I just think you can't let all that just cloud everything that was good. Like the women's Money in the Bank was something really special, really special. Eric, it's annoying that they've wasted the men's briefcase in the way they did for a feud that was already very hot. There you go, spot on. Just said it there. Big up, Russ. Hi there, guys. Hassan, how are you? Good to join us. Thanks for joining us. How are you guys feeling today? Feeling good. Hope you're well, my friend, as well. Wherever you're, let us know as well, Hassan, where you're tuning in from. Love to hear where you're tuning in from as well. And thanks for joining us. Yeah, my man's in. Roll me one Kenobi. How are you? Hey, what's up? Throwing up those devil horns. I was doing it myself the other night. At AC/DC. Big up. They wasted the Money in the Bank on Drew. Jay should have had Punk thrown Drew off the ladder and have Jay win it. So they probably would have preferred Punk. And I actually thought that Punk's interference would have come in the Money in the Bank match, not in the title match. And then I think it probably would have sat well with me, I think if the match just played out with the cash in or whatever it was, and I don't know. So, but then obviously they didn't want to whip the belt off Priest by the looks of things. Also, having Sammy beat Braun when they were pushing Braun as a machine for weeks was a waste. Yeah, he didn't come out weak though. He still came out looking really, really strong. So I'm not too upset about that. They were never going to push the button on Braun in Toronto. There would have been a right. And we have to mention before we go off Money in the Bank as well. That was probably one of the, and no disrespect to any of my Canadian friends on the channel or anything like that. That was not a great Canadian crowd at that match at all. They didn't give it what we wanted. You know what I mean? Go back, look at Backlash, look at Clash, look at Mania Night 2, look at all these things. You got a lot to live up to now. The bar has been raised, not just for wrestling, not just for performers, but also for fans. If you go to a premium live event now, there is an onus on you to make this the best premium live event you can. And if you're going to sit on your hands, it's a problem. I'm a bit tired of seeing Drew Galloway being screwed over. Damn Phil Brooks. Yeah, what was that with Michael Cole calling him Phil? What are you doing, Phil? That was real weird. That sounded like a brain fart moment, didn't it?
Everybody knows his real name. So it's not exactly like... Because he even said it in his feud with Triple H in 2013.
Yeah, so but it's not exactly but you know what it is? People are looking for something to cling on to. They want something to grab and go, fuck you. That's what they want to say, you know. That's what it is. Do you think Punk versus Seth is next?
No.
I don't know, because I don't know how long they're going to play out this Drew McIntyre thing, to be honest.
I think, Punk and Seth will be a great match for WrestleMania. No, can't be in any other show but WrestleMania, because that, to me, that's a big money match. When you if you hype it up like you've hyped up Drew and Punk, it's a big money match.
Yeah, there's a lot to get through on it, isn't there? Really. I'm wondering if Alexa will return with the character Bray was developing for her before he passed away. I think she's gone on record as saying she's not. What did she not say in an interview or a podcast somewhere? She was offered it and she turned it down, or something like that. She didn't want to go back there, or something like that. So, which is, I'm sure Bray's passing really affected her heavily as well. You know what I mean? So, I'm sure maybe out of respect, she maybe didn't want to go back there. But I thought either she was she potentially offered the Nikki Cross spot or something like that, and she turned it down. I'm not too sure. I thought I had read something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Keith's in. I thought they could have given the Money in the Bank briefcase to someone else, and I thought it was a wasted opportunity just to further the Drew Punk story, which didn't need any furthering, as Russ said earlier. You know. I'm sorry, but I don't believe in Joe Hendry. Oh my God, Russ, sort that out. Sort that out quick.
How
Sort
dare
that,
you? How
sort
dare you not
that.
believe in Joe Hendry? Right?
Oh, I tell you.
He's loved in London, Paris, Tokyo, Mexico, Canada, and Scotland.
Yeah,
He's loved everywhere.
I think he's one of those ones that he is one of those characters that I think he's on a wave at the moment. There's no doubt about it. But I think it's just I think it's just he's one of those guys you'll either love him or hate him. There's going to be no middle ground on it. That's the way it is with him. I think he's super cool. I think the main issues with Triple H are his pay-per-view structure because 5 matches are too small, and he tends to value long-term storytelling and super long title reigns that become predictable after a while. That's naturally what storytelling, with long-term storytelling, it is gonna eventually. Like we all knew where Cody was going in it. We all knew where these were going, but if they can keep it somewhat interesting and exciting, it helps a lot. Big up a sign. Kids' Choice Awards. It's coming up on July the 13th, Sunday after church. Nice. Enjoy. Michinoko driver from the top ladder. My word. Unbelievable. And what a bump to take off it as well. It also seems that the world title scene might become a little boring after SummerSlam because people don't believe Gunther would lose the World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe that's potentially what it needs. Maybe
He
what
shouldn't
it
even
needs
win
is,
it.
yeah.
He shouldn't even win it. Right? I don't feel like he should win it just yet. Have him win King of the Ring, that's fine. Come to understand that. But for him to be world champion, no. There's people who I believe deserve it more. People who should be world champion.
The only
It's not
thing I would say to you is when Seth had it, it was kind of box ticking, and when
Yeah,
Priest has had it, it's been kind of somewhat box ticking. I wonder if Gunther gets it, does it bring that credibility like what he brought to the IC belt?
no, we
You don't
don't.
think so?
No.
You're not a Gunther
Gunther,
fan?
I like him. I do like Gunther. I liked his Intercontinental Championship reign. I thought that was fantastic. But to have him go from losing the IC at WrestleMania to him challenging for the World Heavyweight at SummerSlam, it's just there are people who I've always said should be in that spot, but they're giving it to Gunther, and I get that he's really over and that he's being portrayed as this dominant force, but the World Heavyweight isn't the end game for him. His end game is Brock Lesnar. That's what I think should happen first. I think he should at least beat Brock Lesnar, or have a match with Brock Lesnar first, then go into it. Just I can't see it.
Yeah, I suppose because after winning the King of the Ring, it hasn't happened straight away. Maybe you lose the momentum that you bring out of King of the Ring when you've won it, and it stalls a little bit. Or maybe because otherwise, the problem is if you bring him in there and he doesn't win now, you might weaken Gunther somewhat. And the problem there is then can you regenerate that credibility? Whereas if you do push the button on it, you're following through on it, and then I don't know. It depends on. I suppose we're going to see in the next number of weeks how the whole Priest situation pans out with the Judgment Day, because there's a lot of interesting developments there in relation to Balor and stuff like that. So that should be pretty interesting. Cody won't lose his title until after the match with The Rock. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good to see Richmond, Virginia. There you go. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate you in the chat and support. Let us know your thoughts on all things wrestling as well, Hassan. And thanks for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. Richmond, Virginia. Excellent stuff. Acers. Crazy that someone reported cocaine can to the FBI. I didn't read that.
I've
Actually,
seen that story.
did you see it? I haven't seen any of that. Yeah, so you let me.
I've seen it, but I haven't like fully read into it. Speaking of stories, actually, Motor City Machine Guns. I read recently that according to the dirt sheets, they've been in talks with WWE already. A lot of talent. It will be like either are considering not re-signing with AEW or going over to WWE. To me, that's a testament. That's a sign that things are not going well in AEW. when your talent doesn't want to stay there, they want to venture somewhere else, somewhere more popular. That's that to me is getting a bit concerning and a bit worrying.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought we had read. Did we not read a story there about a month or so ago where they did they not say that they had signed for AEW or something like that? Maybe they retracted on it or something. I don't know. I didn't see. I didn't follow up on it. Yeah, he says Triple H just fuck up having NXT on Saturday night on same weekend as All Out on Sunday night in September. I don't think. Look, NXT is holding its own. NXT is a fantastic show and stuff like that. You can be guaranteed if they're going up against All Out, you can be guaranteed they're going to put on a heck of a show. That Heatwave show stands up to any show. It was fantastic, and they're on a wave at the moment. And NXT in no shape, form, or fashion at the moment, as Russ said, with a little bit of TNA in there as well, that sprinkling and the crossover and all. They have nothing at all to fear in relation to AEW at all. And why not go up against them? Do it. Let's go. That's what we want. Eric's in. Everyone loves Joe Hendry.
Exactly. Everybody loves Joe Hendry. Also, quick question for the chat, also a question for you. How would you feel about a Worlds Collide, which is NXT and TNA? Think like a Forbidden Door, but actually produced better.
Yeah, I'm not against it at all.
I think that'll be fantastic.
Yeah, and matter of fact, if you're going to really do Worlds Collide, what I would do is I'd have NXT and I'd have TNA in there as well. But I might even approach a sprinkling of what we would regard as mid card out of Raw and SmackDown as well, and really hit the straps. You know, Why not throw in there a Chad Gable, or why not throw in there, whoever, like, and really pump it and stuff like that. Really make it a Worlds Collide.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. Romy one's in. Ilya, my dude, is getting a hard run on the roster right now. He is absolutely.
It's criminal that Carmella is getting a push, but Ilya Dragunov is getting nothing. It's criminal. Truly.
Yes. Slammiversary coming up next Saturday night. Should be interesting. Prayers for Kevin Sullivan. Absolutely, thoughts and prayers going out to Kevin Sullivan at the moment. He ain't doing too well at all, folks. And as far as I know, I was watching Eric Bischoff's show yesterday, and there's a GoFundMe set up on that show if you want to donate to Kevin Sullivan. I think Conrad set it up, and also I think they're going to put together some sort of a raffle or an auction for that oil painting from Bash at the Beach that's behind Eric Bischoff. He's putting that up, and whoever purchases all the proceeds are going to Kevin Sullivan as well to obviously help with medical and stuff like that, and also hopefully, absolutely. I met him at WrestleCon 2 years ago, absolutely, and it's great to talk to him finally. Hassan, AEW Control Center, and then the return of the bump on next Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, absolutely. AEW Blood and Guts coming up next one more last Wednesday. Acers, Damian Priest will retain at SummerSlam, but he will lose at Bash at Berlin. Interesting. I think Money in the Bank should be put back on WrestleMania and scrap the pay-per-view. Thoughts? The only thing is, my problem with that is, and I loved Money in the Bank when it was on WrestleMania as well, but I think the problem is, I think the Money in the Bank match takes up so much time. I think putting it back on WrestleMania might take away from, the build of the matches and stuff like that and all. That's my only thing with it.
With 2 night WrestleManias, where would Money in the Bank fit in? Unless you do the men's one night, women's night 2, and then switch it around. But even still, I don't think that would be a good idea. For the simple fact of the Money in the Bank PLE has now got so much history behind it that it just seemed stupid to get rid of it. To me,
also,
it's like getting rid of Royal Rumble.
Yeah, also probably with the Money in the Bank match itself, you could potentially have 6 pieces of talent there that are involved in really good storylines building into WrestleMania that you don't want to necessarily have in a Money in the Bank match. And then if they're all being used up, like for instance, Drew is probably going to be on the card, not in the Money in the Bank match. Jey Uso would be the same. LA Knight would probably be the same. Most of them would be the same. So the problem you have then, who'd you put in the Money in the Bank match? Do you water it down by picking even further down the card, six wrestlers and stuff like that. So I don't know. And the same with the women's one. If you look at the women's one, most of the women at the moment, outside of the title pictures, were on that Money in the Bank match. So you don't necessarily want to gather up all that talent and have it all tied into a Money in the Bank match when it comes to WrestleMania. So I don't know. There's pros and cons probably both ways, but I don't know. I think WrestleMania should be just, keep it the way it's doing. They're doing a real good job for it at the moment. And I think I like the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But it doesn't come without it. WWE SummerSlam, Cleveland Browns is coming up on August 3rd. Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really looking forward to SummerSlam and what they're going to do now and stuff. And the stadium looks amazing as well. Daz, my new account, Niall, it's still me getting a picture tonight. No bother, Daz. No bother at all. TNA NXT, it won't be a crossover any longer. WWE purchased TNA. I think even if they purchase it, they'll keep it as a separate entity. It won't be WWE that purchase it anyway. It's under the TKO umbrella. So it'll still be its own entity within that merger, if you like. So it'll still be TNA as its own entity.
I feel like though with TNA, like, and if TKO do purchase TNA, I feel like it'll become an OVW thing, where it's like they're building up stars for their main roster. I don't want that for TNA. I would rather it just be a separate show, where it's like, yeah, we can cross over all we want, but you've still got your own thing. I've still got my own thing. To me, that's absolutely. That feels better.
Yeah, quick rundown on Heatwave. If you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. There are the results there if you haven't. But I mean, like, Obafemi to me he's just that helicopter spin he did on your man was insane. Absolutely insane. Great match. I'm so impressed with Kalani Jordan. I'm with Sol Ruka. Big futures for both those. Unbelievable. The stuff Sol Ruka could do is just insane. Absolutely insane. Roxanne Perez and Lola Voice again. Excellent stuff again. But right down through the card was brilliant. Trick versus Eaton Page, the main event there was class. And then that's that little Joe Hendry going off air as well really added to it, as you said earlier. But it was even the tag match was excellent and all and stuff like that. So, folks, if you get a chance, jump on the NXT bus. It's really, really good at the moment. It's well worth watching. Honestly, it's there's some really good stuff going on down there. So don't miss out and don't let it slide.
And also, if you're watching, just remember, say his name and he will appear.
Absolutely, 100%. But he's not going to appear right now. Who is going to appear is our new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. If Dino's watching right now, my friend Dino from the Shankly Sessions, he will be absolutely applauding this. He is the biggest Johnny Gargano fan.
I absolutely love Johnny Gargano. Loved him in NXT. I loved his main roster little skin, right? Man, the way was fantastic, and the fact he came up with Tommaso Ciampa and the DIY again is fantastic. Love his in-ring capability, and I think it was Elimination Chamber. I want to say 2022. No, 2023.
No. Yeah,
because it was in the lead up to WrestleMania 39. Right, he showed how fantastic he can work with other people. He was one of the highlights of the Elimination Chamber, and the fact that he's now successfully captured his first championship on the main roster, along with Johnny Gargano, along with Tommaso Ciampa, is absolutely fantastic. The progression that they've actually done from NXT to the main roster, bearing in mind that Tommaso Ciampa was with The Miz for a little bit of that, just didn't sit well.
No.
And I'm so happy that we don't have Grayson Waller and A-Town as champions because, they were boring.
Yeah, I just think
typical heel champions.
There's just great chemistry with both these boys as well. They're just like brothers from another mother, and they gel so well, they work so well, and they're just, even when they split them up, it feels weird to see them on their own. I have to say, I'm really enjoying this attempted RKO out of nowhere.
Yes,
that they're going on. It's so good, good.
It's so good because it reminds me of the glorious bomb that did in NXT. And it's hilarious.
Do you know what I thought they were going to do? What I thought they were going to do was they were going to book a tag match, and they may still do it, where the two boys go up against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens in a tag title match. And
that'd be hilarious.
And Ciampa wins eventually with an RKO on Randy or something like that. That would be so cool. because it's such fun at the moment. Another story about Johnny Gargano. We met him at WrestleCon, myself and Dino, at WrestleMania 35, and I think Johnny at the time was having a baby, obviously, with Candice. And Dean, my friend, he was going through it as well. He was having a child as well. And the two boys sat down at WrestleCon for about, must have been 35 minutes, and all they spoke about was fatherhood and how excited both of them are to be having babies and stuff like that and all. And it was such a cool conversation. I don't think they even spoke about wrestling. I think they just spoke about fatherhood. But it was a cool moment, and I was standing back from it. And like there was people queuing and stuff like that, but it wasn't bad and stuff like that. And Johnny Gargano was in no rush at all. He was having the time of his life talking about babies and how excited he was going to be coming a dad and all that. And Dame was the same. And it was a lovely moment within wrestling, outside of wrestling. So it was cool.
Yeah.
It was really
wrestling
cool.
brings everybody together, regardless of who you are.
So I just love that, and I'm delighted that they're tag champs, and just it's just fun with them, isn't it?
It's always fun with DIY.
Yeah. Romy 1 is in. Stephanie Vacour, CMLL contract is up soon. If I was WWE, I'd sign her. She's unreal. Yeah, she's very good, but my thoughts is she's probably going to go to AEW by the looks of things, I'd say. So we shall see. TNA Worlds Collide. I like that. There we go. Acers. Cody versus Roman Reigns versus Rock, WrestleMania 41 Night 2 main event for WWE Championship. I hate triple threats. Don't like them.
I feel like if he was going to do a triple threat, it would be to get the belt off Cody without having Cody being pinned. That's the only thing. And it just does not seem right. Yeah,
the problem is, if that happens, then what? We get the story has to be finished again. then we roll it back all again, so I don't know about that. I'm not too sure. SmackDown tends to be better show in that the mid-card division seems to get more exposure, which is ironic since their mid-card champion barely wrestles.
Logan Paul, wow. He's done an amazing run as United States champion because of how much he's a great heel. When they turn him face, because it's a bit, they'll turn him face, he should be wrestling every week. I feel like that's a really, really good idea where it's like heel never wrestles. Oh yeah, I'm a mega star. And then it's like, I'm a face. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna make sure that everybody knows that I am here. And then really prove himself. That to me would be absolutely fantastic. And that's what he needs.
JS has just pushed us right into it. We're going to talk about it. This man.
There we go. Oh,
let's talk about it.
Do we have to?
Well, of course we have to. We have to pay respects. It's one of the greats. We have to pay respects.
Yes, but I don't. I want to pretend like it's not real.
It isn't. Well, it isn't real.
Oh, but I want to pretend like he didn't come out in Toronto and say that he's retiring.
And it's 18 months away.
Yeah, like no, stay. I want to see a match with Joe Hendry.
That could still happen. There's a long time. So. 18 months is a long time. What way do you think this is going to pan out? He has to kind of, when you think of this guy has been the ultimate employee. He's been unbelievable for 20 years or whatever it is. He's hit every metric. He's won every title. He's done every job. He's put everyone over as much as he could. He has sold warehouse loads of merchandise. He has granted warehouse loads of Make-A-Wish. He has done everything at this stage. The only thing he hasn't done is won 17 championships, and then that would enshrine him in history.
He will not.
Yay or nay?
No. I feel like with John and Flair, them two being tied for the most world championships, that's perfect. Because we've got the greatest of one generation and the greatest of another generation. That would be fantastic. He's a final match. So I think this is going to be a ridiculously long shot here. He should technically have 3 final matches. And these 3 final matches will be the 3 final pay-per-views. Pre-WrestleMania, so maybe Rumble Chamber time, he should face a new and upcoming star. Not saying Joe Hendry, but probably somebody from NXT who wants to, like, come up. Think of like a Kevin Owens type thing, where it's like we've got this really big name at NXT. Let's see how he works with John, and if he can get over as that heel against John Cena like Kevin Owens did, perfect, awesome, great career ahead of him. I don't know who that could be. I'm long shot, Shawn Spears. I could see Shawn Spears and John Cena having a good match, or having at least a good feud, because John Cena's pure WWE. Shawn Spears has gone off and gone everywhere. I feel like it'd be like a nice contrast with AJ and John, where it's like AJ's gone everywhere, he's done everything, whereas Shawn Spears, he's had to go do his own thing, come back, work his way through NXT to get back onto the main roster, to stick it to John Cena and basically say, look, I made my name elsewhere while you were still stuck here. That's his first match. His WrestleMania match should be Randy Orton, because them two have never faced off at WrestleMania before.
Okay,
that would be fantastic. That should be his final WrestleMania.
And great history coming from the same OVW class. Yep. So great history, great lineage.
And then his very, very last match should be Chad Gable, because this is the closest thing we're going to get to Kurt Angle versus John Cena, which is what Kurt Angle originally wanted.
I've a funny feeling they're not going to go that route with him. I have a funny feeling what they're going to do is, I think they've probably learned from the Solo at Crown Jewel or whatever it was. I don't think they need to use John Cena now to give stars a bump. I think a lot of the people in there, if you're on telly, you're pretty much a star at this stage. I don't think he can give them any more of a bump. I think what John Cena is going to do for the next 18 months is he's going to enjoy his wrestling. He's going to show up on some of these pay-per-views, and he's going to handpick people from a bucket list of who he wants to face from the past, I'd say. I don't think he's going to be looking at a Shawn Spears or even a Chad Gable or something like that. I think he's going to be looking at people in there, historical, who he hasn't had to face on some of the big stages. And I think that's who he's going to, I think that's how it's going to go. And ultimately, I think his last match, and I know a lot of people won't like this because we've had it force-fed down our throats and stuff like that, the likelihood is his last match probably has to be The Rock.
Oh,
and we've already had it. I know, and I'm going to put my hands up. I know. But I think he's going to spend the next 18 months focusing on his own bucket list of who he wants to face.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised either. Don't be surprised either if he's the guy, if he is the guy to take Taker out of retirement. Don't be surprised.
But they've already done that.
I know. But I just think he'll want to go out with such a bang. He'll want to have huge matches in there. And I don't think he's going to be, although he has no problem in terms of building stars and giving people the bump and all that kind of stuff, I don't think that's going to be a focus for his last 18 months. I don't think it needs to be either. I think there's lots of really good matchups in there for him that haven't really happened and stuff like that. Like, I'd love to see, although we got some of it, I'd love to see, we kind of got him and Punk when Punk was very disgruntled with the company. I'd like to see him and Punk where both are very happy with the company and what they could produce. I think that would be pretty cool.
I feel like them running it back one more time would probably, it would sell for sure, because everybody loves the Summer of Punk.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just think maybe that's the way I think it's going to go. But it was interesting as well, and the thing about it is the way it was all handled as well. It was made feel like a big thing, and it is a big thing.
Yeah,
but it was made feel like a big thing, and I like that, you know. But I think I ultimately think he's going to pick up the World Heavyweight Championship at some stage along this 18 months and get 17, and I think he'll have it with the blessing of Flair, because I know he's close with Flair and everything as well. I think he'll have it with the blessing, and I think if there's anyone out there who deserves to take 17 and take that mantle, has to be John Cena, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Has to be John Cena. He's the guy. He's the workhorse, rarely injured, 20-odd years in there, has hit every metric, has won every title, has won and lost to everyone, has done it all, and done it all twice and three times over. And is he not the guy that you turn around and go, 17 times world champion John Cena.
Yeah, I do agree with this. One thing that John Cena can't do: make Austin Theory another superstar.
Mm.
It was just awful. Just an awful match that nothing came off. Just boring.
John Cena, Acers. John Cena has to be the heel when he wins 17 World Heavyweight Championships in 2024.
He won't turn heel. Let's just admit it now. He's never going to turn heel.
NFL football team coming up in August. Okay, nice. Obafemi is Big E 2.0. Absolutely. He's a star in the making.
He is.
Yeah, his son is in. Yes, for Joe Henry. Sorry, yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely. Babyface Austin Theory will be interesting. I'm kind of here for it. Interesting.
It shouldn't be Austin Theory that turns face. It should be Grayson Waller. I'm sick to death of seeing Austin. I'm sick to death of seeing Austin Theory. I want a new Grayson Waller. I want somebody to actually convince me that okay, yeah, maybe they're not a bad guy.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'd have as much interest in Grayson Waller if he was babyface. I like that he's a smarmy fecker. You know, that kind of. I like that.
But then at the same time, can we not say the same thing about Austin Theory? He's built a character around being this cocky, arrogant guy, and now all of a sudden you want us to like him.
Yeah, maybe. If Roman returns with Jimmy and Zilla Fatu, that would be unreal. And I'd say there's more coming with it as well. Absolutely. SmackDown just... Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go
I feel like if that was to happen, like my dream scenario, SummerSlam this year, Cody's gone off, right? Cody won, right? And Solo grabs a mic and is like, despite me losing, I still want everyone to acknowledge me. Throws his buns up. Roman's music hits. He comes out. He waits at the ramp. And then Jimmy. And then Zilla comes out. So then you got 3-on-3. And then the fourth one is obviously Jey Uso.
Yeah, it's crazy. I did like some of the videos that came out from Sika's funeral as well. Roman was dancing and Rikishi was dancing, and the guys were just throwing the money on top of them and stuff like that. But those guys, listen, they know how to give a send off. So fair play to them. It looked unbelievable, and it was a poignant moment as well. Watching them carry the casket in as well was a poignant moment, I have to say. So pretty good. Eric's in. SmackDown just seems to run a tighter ship compared to Raw roster, which seem a bit full, where people who don't get used to go to main event, and has a third hour which can tire the audiences in Europe. Well, that's going to change, isn't it, when it goes to Netflix, because you're going to have no ads, as far as I know. So that'll take down at least a half an hour at that time, I would imagine, or they'll get another half an hour of wrestling.
Yeah.
Ian's in. Great work with Wrestling Weekly on the upper tier, Russ. There you go.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. I love being here anyway. Anything to talk wrestling.
That's it. Romy-1 Kenobi, before Cena retires, he should give Wade Barrett his win back. Oh, that's a shout. That is a shout. JS, I think Randy Orton beats Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, and at WrestleMania 41 we get John Cena versus Randy Orton. I'm all in on that. But
I fantasy booked that like a few months ago.
Yeah.
Like I actually, me and my mate sat down and was like, how would you book John Cena's 13th win versus Randy Orton? That's weird.
There you go. And now it's all happening in front of you. WWE are bringing in 2 mid-card women's titles. They certainly are. There's talk of a women's US belt and a women's Intercontinental belt coming onto the roster. For some people, they talk about belts being too much, but I think when you look at the volume of talent, and we spoke about it on the show, Russ, didn't we? The amount of women in there at the moment, on top of their game at the moment, that really don't have anything to shoot for week in, week out. It's crying out for these 2 titles. Now, what I want is, please don't put these in here and then book them the way you've booked the tag straps. That would be a disaster. Book them 100%. To create a bit of history. Book them to create a bit of history and do it properly. But big up Acers. Yeah, seen that. Had it ready there for you. Right. Let's talk Judgment Day. Where is this Judgment Day whole thing going? We all know Cena will do a Michaels in return for a Saudi match for that bag. Listen, he's not doing anything different that none of us would do. So let's not let's not throw shade on it when every single one of us here would do the exact same thing. Hang on a minute. Sami Zayn is even doing it now, and he swore he'd never do it. So if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for John Cena. There you go.
True.
There we go.
So, right, Judgment Day. Just break them up. Stop dancing around it. Break them up. Have they revealed that Liv and Finn Balor are working together and break them up? That's all we need.
Remember we spoke about having too many factions?
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm very interested in the Balor Priest situation and the Balor Liv Dominic situation. There's so much going on in the Judgment Day at the moment. And poor El Carlito is just the bolt on with the apple, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know why. Like, he just comes into shot and goes out of shot. Doesn't really have anything to say. Doesn't really do anything. I don't know. He's earning good money for someone who has very little to do. It's kind of weird. It's very, very strange. And it's can you imagine it'd be the equivalent of putting JD McDonough into the LWO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just weird. But yeah, no, this is I'm enjoying what's happening here with the Judgment Day. It's going to be interesting to see with Rhea back now, what's going to happen with Dominic and with Liv and all, and where Balor fits into that as well. Could we get a mixed tag match? Could we get Balor and Liv versus Dominic and Rhea or something like that, or who knows? And will Priest eventually step out of the shadow of the Judgment Day and be his own person and stuff like that? It's very. And then where does it leave Carlito? Poor old Carlito. He'd be the only member of the Judgment. He'll have to get our truth back in.
Fine. Carlito, when they break up, it should be like, right, okay, bloodline, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So give us your thoughts on that. Acers, we'll talk about that in a minute. I have it lined up. Don't worry. You're reading my mind here. I think you have access to my computer or something, Acers, do you? Well,
I just want to clarify,
interesting.
As much as I've read about Behind the Curtain, I haven't watched it.
Yeah, no problem. You should check it out. It's on YouTube. Excellent.
Yeah, it's one of those things where what I've heard about it, it just kind of seems like The Rock bigs himself up. That's it.
But I listen to people talking about that, and I'm surprised that they're surprised. When does The Rock never big himself up?
True, but
I did hear that the first cut of it had to be changed. That's what I did hear, and that's why it took time to come out and stuff like that.
It's probably
very interesting.
It's probably The Rock saying, "So it was my idea to put the massive X and the massive L on the screen."
Yeah. Absolutely. I would have a Cody and Cena match, the old face against the new face of the company. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be nice.
But
they've done that so many times already. They did that with Rock and Cena, and then AJ and Cena. Like, is it like a generational thing where it's like you want to be the face of the company? Yeah, okay, beat this guy. I was like, and John Cena's just there, just like.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think any surprises coming up next pay-per-view? There's surprises on every pay-per-view. This is definitely not happening. Cena bring Vince McMahon back in the final run. I think Priest retains at SummerSlam. Russ, you're thinking the same, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Or you're thinking that's what you want.
That's what I would rather. I would rather that happen.
Zilla versus Jacob in WWE would be quality two juggernauts just going full pelt at each other. Hell yeah. And we'll throw Braun Breaker in there as special guest referee. Why not? Let's really push the boat.
Being like really honest, I can't get excited for like other people having a big match in WWE. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the World Championship should have been a big match, and it was just average. Did it better in New Japan.
I think if you're the size of these guys and the way they can move and the stuff they can do, I think it's different gravy, really. Anyway, let's talk Behind the Curtain. I watched it. I thought it was really, really good. I love these documentaries. Where it fell kind of a little bit short, really, was it really only surrounded around the WWE Championship. There wasn't really anything else in it. So it didn't talk about anything else really in WrestleMania or cover anything else. What did come across in it was just how goddamn hard these people work and how meticulous they are in their preparation for what they deliver onto our screens was fairly evident there, and how hard they work and everything. And that includes all these guys on the screen. It was a phenomenal insight into what has to happen and how things come together and how it pivoted and all that. And I think the one thing that I came out of it thinking, and I don't know if you guys in the chat were the same, I think the way it pivoted, I think they got lucky. I think they got lucky that the crowd reacted the way they did. I think if the crowd hadn't reacted the way he did, I think we would have got Rock and Roman at Mania. I don't think they would have pivoted. And I think it just happened. They just got lucky. I described it the other day to a guy as that Daniel Bryan yes moment. I think they just got lucky and a hit. And fair play to them. And the fact that they had the dynamic to pivot and change things and move things around, I think it worked really, really well. I think it was The Rock bigging himself up. And I think part of that, I think you got to remember with these documentaries as well, part of that is remember there's more coming down the line and he has to present himself in a certain way. So I think that's what it was. But if you haven't checked it out, go watch it. Well worth a watch. Roll me. I'm taking Rhea over Morgan every day. I'm a sucker for that goth look. Listen, Liv Morgan is not beyond looking like a goth when she wants to as well. Make no mistake about that.
Just saying, Kenobi. Me too. If you need further proof, she's right above me.
There you go. Liv Morgan will retain against Rhea Ripley, and Dominic will cost Rhea the title at SummerSlam.
Yes, I can't wait for this custody of Dom match. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be cool. Yeah. The Birds aired in a briefcase match.
Yeah.
Bring back Buddy and put him with Rhea against Dirty Dom and Morgan. I wouldn't be upset at that at all. I hear Buddy's contract is up soon, so why not? He has history with the Mysterios. The only problem is he'd be coming into character there, and they might not have enough time to build them up in terms of. But I suppose everyone knows they got married and all that kind of stuff. It's all out there. So, but,
it's all real.
Yeah. It's like that moment where Shinsuke comes out on SmackDown and no one knows who he is, and you go, "Do you not watch NXT?"
Yeah.
that Shinsuke moment. Roll me. Carlito with Final Testament when Judgment Day breaks up. What are they going to do? Just pass him around all the factions?
Yeah. It gets to the point where it's just like the end game of faction where it's like everybody from one thing's just there.
Yeah. He'll eventually come out with the Wyatts as that pumpkin head character, and it'll be an apple, not a pumpkin. Can you just imagine? Oh God,
he's just R-Truth now, isn't he? Let's just be honest.
R-Truth is different gravy, isn't he? R-Truth is just different gravy. But listen, they always said for years the clever guys are the ones who do the least and earn the most. So there you go. So you can't complain about it. Seth was a machine during the run-up to WrestleMania, but now it's time to turn him back heel. I think Seth will cost Punk his win at SummerSlam, and then boom, we can build up Seth versus Punk at WrestleMania. Not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. I don't think anyone will be too upset about that whatsoever. Nope. I did have these other slides as well where we talked about the overdoneness of the interference and all that, but we've already covered it. What are you thinking on the Wyatts now? You're another week or so into it.
I don't know. I'm like you. I don't see where they're going. I feel like this random Chad Gable angle is just a bit weird. Just why did you go after Chad Gable?
Yeah, I think it's like they're serving us dinner, but they're forgetting to put the meat on the plate. And I think if they just give us a bit more information about where it's going to go or where it's leading to, I think I might be able to get more invested in it. But at the moment, to me, it just feels like another unnecessary interruption on the card, on the flow of the show. And it's just for me, and I don't want to think that way because, Bray Wyatt and all that, I love all that and stuff like that and all, but they gotta give us something. They gotta give us a reason to buy into it, don't they? Give us a reason.
If they can indoctrinate him, then fine. But the creeds are just going to be there anyway.
Yeah, Wyatt versus Creed doesn't get bucket. Yeah, absolutely. Kick off 0-0. We're going to let you go now shortly, folks. We're just going to finish up the show so everyone can enjoy the England game.
Hopefully we win.
that Carlito Wyatt 6 pitch actually sounds all right.
Yeah, it does.
There you go. There you go. Listen, I've been known for crazy booking ideas, so there you go. But let's see what happens. I'd say it's probably absolute madness. Listen, we'll save our history for next week and our notable birthdays, because we know everyone wants to catch the match and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
folks,
absolutely.
with that in mind, thank you for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, with Darren. We're going to be talking about the semi-finals leading into the final. Lots of news there relating to Man United and Liverpool and transfers and Arsenal. All the usual good stuff that we bring you as always. As always, folks, if you haven't liked the video, like it on the way out. Really, really important that you like the video. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell notification button. Russ, what's coming up this week for you?
Okie dokie, so coming up Friday on GSY Talks Football, we have a Only Fools and Horses quiz written by my mother. So if you're a big fan of Only Fools and Horses, feel free to come in the chat, be part of the chat's team. Otherwise, I will be live tomorrow at www.twitch.tv/minikebab overlord, playing some Dead Rising 1, interacting with the fans, interacting with the chat in the hype and the build up to the deluxe remasters coming out September 19th, 2024.
And if you're not a fan of Only Fools and Horses, we ain't got any time for you.
Oh, it's Saturday. It's Saturday this week, not Friday. Usually it's on a Friday.
There you go. Daz is in there. He's onto it straight away. Look, we ain't getting away. We ain't getting away. So as always, folks, enjoy the rest of your week. Hope whichever team you're pulling for wins. Enjoy the final as well coming up. I have to say, I'm looking forward to the end of the Euros. I've had enough of it at this stage. I want to get big into the transfer window now. The Euros has just been kind of an unnecessary distraction. But until next time, folks, as I said, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you again real soon. From me and from Russ, until next time, see you soon.
Catch you in a bit, guys.